Welcome back to another devlog. We have a ton to talk about. We ran some TikTok ads. We saw how they went. We looked at what converts from those TikTok ads. We did a ton of work on our funnel and a ton of research into what works in funnels. And I'm feeling much more confident that I should be able to get closer to my number where Apple ads make sense to just throw a ton of money into. And somewhat excitingly, we got our first payout from Apple. It's really cool to see like positive money coming in when it's just been negative money the whole time. But first, if you're new here, I'm Grayson. I'm a developer. I've been a developer for quite a while, but I've always wanted to build something that actually generated money of its own. So that's where we're at. I'm working on an app called RecipePT. It is a smarter recipe app that actually gets recipes that you're probably going to like because it knows your allergies, everything you've liked in the past, as well as how you're feeling that specific night. And it comes up with great recipes that are more targeted rather than the endless recipe scroll. On this channel, I go over absolutely everything. I talk about all my experiments I've tried and I show all of the analytics. So every week you get to see everything that we're doing and all of the numbers and how they worked and how things impacted our funnel. So let's take a look at the analytics. As you know, we ran 4 different TikTok campaigns this week. So one of them was a sort of a clone of another app's ad where you can save recipes directly to the app from any social media. That's an angle that I kind of know works since I've seen that ad over and over and over. Another one was just trying to stop like the TikTok scroll, the infinite scroll of recipes. Another one was the ability to take a picture of your plate and then convert that directly to a recipe. And then another one was just like selling that it has memory and can filter out allergies automatically. I was hoping that last week we'd see one like wildly outperform the other ones, but we actually saw that nothing outperformed anything. In fact, they were all like really, really close to each other. So I don't think I can really read much into any of these angles working like super well. But what I will say is, since I know that one of the angles is a very close ad to one of the apps that does some similar things, I know that that one probably works pretty well. And so since all my other ads worked pretty similarly, I think that those angles are probably also pretty good at selling that to users. But downstream of that, what did that look like? Well, those TikTok impressions brought a ton of people to the landing pages. We had 1,400 visitors to our landing pages. Of that though, we only had 6 downloads. So a huge drop off there. I think TikTok users are just pretty low intent as opposed to like the App Store, which I actually paid less for the App Store ads, but I got 17 downloads last week. So a huge drop off there. Not really what I expected there. I expected those TikTok ads to work much better, but you know, Apple ads are still proving to be kind of the gold standard for ads here. Of those 6 downloads, actually 7 people reached the paywall, which is kind of funny. I mean, somebody came back from last week and re-looked at the paywall. Kind of funny that they did that, but yeah, we got 1 trial start. They churned pretty quickly. You know, it happens. Overall, you know, pretty fine numbers for what is ultimately a week of very little downloads. Not super upset about that, you know, it happens. I do want to take a step back though and look at our analytics kind of longer term. So looking at our downloads of the past 60 days, we had 53 downloads, 5 trial starts, and then 2 conversions, obviously. So the rates there, we're looking at 53 downloads into 5 trial starts. That's a little under 10%. It's not a great rate of download to trial start. So we know we have a lot of places we can work on our onboarding there, and that's what we're kind of working on, or we worked on this week. And then trial starts to actual paid is 40%. So I think we're pretty lucky on that one. I do not expect that rate to continue. Hopefully it does, but that is like gold standard. So hopefully it does continue. That would mean really good things for our app. That would mean our app is really functional once you actually get into it. But yeah, really happy with that number. We can definitely improve our trial start rate number though. All right, so given our download to trial start rate, clearly we have some issues with our onboarding, and that's what I've been focusing on for almost the past 2 weeks now. I've just been like honing in on making our onboarding 1% better every day. And I think I've made some huge progress. I've been focusing on each screen and just like nailing down, trying to make it premium feeling, trying to make it bring value. And so I've learned a ton about onboarding in this past, and I kind of want to just go through it. So one of the first things I've learned is that most users, when they get to the pay screen, don't know what the app they're buying actually does, which is kind of funny and understandable, because like I'll get to pay screens often and be like, I still don't understand what I'm buying. That's something that happens to me quite often. So I think our app definitely had a lot of that. Like getting to the pay screen, we kind of just show, the only thing we show you about the app is like the Tinder step, which doesn't really even exist in the app, sort of. So that's like super confusing. So the first two things I did was, one, I created an animation on the kind of like main screen that kind of just tells you what the app does subtly. And it does that by typing in the query that you would search for to get that recipe. And it's just a general query. It just kind of shows that like you can type in whatever you want and we'll give you recipes that hopefully kind of like aim towards that direction. Another thing I did was I updated our wow moment. So right now our wow moment is a taste profile. It looks at all of your swipes and then it comes back and it says, here's what we think you like based on your swipes and all that. And then that goes right into the paywall. So obviously, since the taste profile isn't like a large part of how the app functions, it doesn't make a ton of sense for that to be the wow moment. So what I did after that is, once you click next, it goes on to 3 recipes that we think you might like. And playing around with this a lot, I've done a lot of tweaking on how everything here works, but it's started to give me pretty good recipes. And I think every time I've gotten to that page, I've seen something that I'm like really interested in cooking. So hopefully that is a great selling mechanism. And it also kind of subtly teaches the user what they're actually buying. Another thing I thought about is there are different users and different user types who would buy the app, right? So there's, I think, 2 main people I'm targeting. I'm targeting the person who has like the 5-minute dinner decision, but like it's always the same thing. They cook 5 things and that's it. And then they just kind of like rotate between those 5 things and they're super bored of what they're cooking. And then I'm also targeting the person that spends like 30 minutes a night trying to find a recipe on TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and cannot find it, or, you know, find something that they're not really sold on or whatever. And those 2 people are fundamentally different personas, and I need to sell directly to them rather than trying to sell to like both of them at the same time, which is why I added this survey step up here. And the survey step just says, you know, what's your average time that you look for dinner? And so I try to like then use that time to sell into what I think they're looking for out of the app. So hopefully that improves our conversion as well. I think that's a pretty good step, and we actually use that like later on. So one thing that I saw a bunch over and over and over that I didn't actually incorporate into my onboarding is called social proof. So social proof is where you'll see those apps that say, you know, 4,000 users trust X, or, you know, 4.8 stars out of 5 with 10,000 reviews on the App Store, or a bunch of quotes from users. That is supposed to help people kind of understand that other people are using the app, other people find it helpful, and if they feel like other people find it helpful, they feel like they might find it helpful as well. So I didn't do that because I don't have good quotes on the App Store. I don't have a ton of reviews on the App Store. So I don't really have anything that I can like sell as like this huge social proof. I don't have like a massive user base or anything either. So I left that step out. That's another lever I can pull as well. We'll see if I want to pull that, if that is something that I want to add to the app. It's probably something at some point I would want to add so that I can increase conversion, but for now I left it out. I think I pulled a lot of levers that I already could pull, and hopefully those, you know, increase my conversion meaningfully. I also raised my prices. I went from $39.99 a year to $59.99, and then I went from $4.99 a month to $6.99. I think those kind of are self-explanatory as to why I did that. I just kind of need to up my average revenue per user, and that's one lever that is super easy to pull. I think also the polish on my onboarding will really kind of help sell that a little bit more and sell the app as like a premium app a little bit more than, you know, the old onboarding, which was mostly just like data gathering, very little selling. So overall, it's been a little bit of a heads down kind of week, just focusing on making the onboarding just a little bit better every day. I have a pretty good feeling that we'll be able to meaningfully increase our conversion with the onboarding, and I'm planning on just kind of like keeping the polishing going, keeping obviously my UGC content going, and hopefully seeing some more conversions, some more trials and all that stuff. I think we're kind of meaningfully able to kick up the funnel enough so that we can test out our onboarding too. So feeling pretty good about that. The next week, hopefully Apple has approved my new onboarding flow, and I can come back with hopefully having seen some people go through it. We'll see.